I am your host, Nick, the Duke of Hobbies, for Triple P's Around the Board, the player debate show where the tough questions are asked and the responses are judged. For 2 10-minute rounds, players respond to specific questions. They will get points awarded removed by your host. Players can also be muted to give other players a chance to respond. There will be one bonus round question between the rounds for additional points. Winning player will get 1 minute to freely rant about whatever they want to. With the rules established, let's meet today's players and go around the board. And for today, we have Scott from FTK.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
We got John, Sleepy Dreepy.
What's up, guys? How's it going?
And we have a local, Steve, the professor.
Hi, local Steve.
and also joining us as another contestant today is Jake Abrams, the Penucks himself.
Yeah, hi. I'm not Maddie from Chill TGC.
All right, everyone. So, like I said, we're going to be going into round number 1 here. There'll be 10 minutes to talk about it. And with there we go. There it is. All right, just had to get something. For today's first topic, we're actually going to be talking about have tag teams met their match finally. So, the validity of tag teams. And to start the round off, I'm going to go to you, Jake, since you've been on here before, and we want to hear, you really want to talk about this too. So, go ahead.
Is tag teams dead? I would say yes for the most part. ADP is the only viable one, in my opinion, at the moment. Because of his Ultra Creation and his combination with Zacian V with the Rusted Sword. But Pikarom just gets one shot now pretty easily. Luke Metal, even with his goggles and his GX, still can get one shot pretty easily with a lot of success. All the other ones were kind of fringe in the first place. Maybe Charizard Reshi still can get one shot. Even though you're going to lose, with Zacian V with the sword on a one-shot to fire anyways, but you're still just winning that prize race because it's 2 prizes to 3 on that case. So if they're having to force to put up multiples, it's just basically a game. I just don't see a viable reason to run tag teams other than ADP at this point with Rusted Sword.
All right, John, seems like you got something to say here. What's your thoughts on this?
I'd have to completely disagree. I don't think they're completely out of the water. I just don't think they're going to be the central of the deck except for ADPZ. And I think Pikarom, I'm not the one to bet on Pikarom because Pikarom somehow finds a way. And just that paralysis reset stamp on Pikarom is still showing even now. Still seeing some success. I think it'll be not tier 1 deck, but maybe a tier 2 that'll see some fringe play. So that deck is, I don't think it's completely out of the water. Reshizard, again, I think it's still going to be in Cram. Cram has a good option with it, because Cram can just one shot anything really. If it really draws well. So I don't think tag teams overall are out the water. They're just not going to be as centralizing. And even with Pikarom, you can go the Mewtwo route and play Big Charms instead on that Mewtwo. So maybe
Scott,
go more of a lightning Mewtwo route. Sorry.
Oh no, you're good. Go ahead, Scott. I saw him shaking a little bit here.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to agree with Jonathan for the most part. See, the biggest factor in this whole thing is that tag teams are still basics. So you're still going to inherently get them set up faster. So they're still going to hit the higher numbers more consistently because you don't have to wait for the evolution. You don't have to search for the evolution. So with things like Stamp and Marnie being so prevalent, it's a lot easier to disrupt a non-basic deck that has to evolve, or even Zacian, they have to get the Rusted Sword still, right? Yeah. Now, are they going to be as strong? Probably not, but people are still going to see success with them until they rotate 100%. And Pikarom, we've said Pikarom has died the last 4 sets in a row, and every single set, it just keeps coming back with a vengeance. So I'll never count that deck out again. I don't care if I could one-shot it with a single prize 60 HP Pokemon with 1 energy, it'll still win somehow. So,
Steve, what's your thoughts on this? You've been in the game longest here.
I think they're definitely on their way out. With the release of Cheryl, I think it's going to help these VMAXs a lot more from so Pikarom has to two-shot a lot of things, so those decks can survive with Cheryl. I think ADP is still really good. So I think that card still stays, but I think as the set starts releasing support for these rapid strike and single strikes, these card mechanics are going to become more powerful than tag teams, and they're eventually going to be on their way out. But as of right now, with battle styles, they're still good, but on their way out.
So I have to say this. So I recently did the test with Zacian, straight Zacian with the sword, rusted sword. Against Luke Metal, I'm 15-0. Against Pikarom, I'm 12-2. And they were never really close games for the most part. The only way I lost those games were whiffing at the beginning. So I mean, that's a lot of wins compared to not very many losses. And I wouldn't even say that I'm like a top tier player. It just seemed like almost easy to beat those decks. Like they didn't really have a chance.
You got the data, John. What's your? It seems like. Oh.
Well, my thought process with the Pikarom is there's a lot of players out there who know Pikarom inside and out, so I think they can navigate those rough matchups a lot better than the common player can. So I think, those are bad matchups, but I think a lot of those good players are still going to be able to navigate and make it through and still see success with that deck if they need to. Just because, and also Pikarom is just consistent. It's like I feel like it's the consistency king still. So I don't think Pikarom completely is going to get out of the meta. Luke Metal, you might see it as one of in like maybe the Corviknight VMAX.
Scott, or Steve?
So the only thing I have to add is you also have to like think about how the meta is going to evolve, right? Like the two hype decks coming out are Urshifu, which is weak to Psychic, and the biggest tag team in the game is Mewtwo Mew, right? So that being Psychic and being able to just use that weakness against it. I mean, and I know, Jirachi GX is a thing, but it's not that hard to, shut it down, right? So it's one of those things where it's like, I don't think they're going anywhere for at least the next two sets. Once the Rapid Strike and Single Strike become like full force and we have the whole mechanic and all the options, then of course, like every mechanic in Pokemon, they're going to disappear. But I think at least for, battle styles and killing rain, they're not going anywhere. They might get less powerful, but they're still going to be there, and you still have to respect them. Otherwise, you're going to lose every time.
Steve, against the Jake data, what do you think?
I mean, so Jake is a good player in my opinion. I've played Jake many times in person and online, and I agree that like it's to my point to where they are sliding out. I mean, ADP is still ADP. Taking an extra prize card and ending the game in 4 turns, even 3 turns, as early as 3 turns, is amazing. So I think that, yes, Turbo Rustization deck is pretty good. It can one-shot these tag teams, but Big Charm's still a thing. So, it's hard for these decks to, as possible as it is, it's still hard to hit 300 damage in 1 turn when you need Rusted Sword, Berserker, and Leon as your supporters for that turn to do that 300 plus damage.
I mean, you could do that, but you could also Tool Scrapper.
Go ahead, Steve. You were talking.
Well, I mean, Tool Scrapper's a thing, but like we've been saying that's been a thing for a while, right? Like, no one's playing Tool Scrapper because I don't think tools are that relevant right now that a Tool Scrapper swings the game. So, I mean, and it's a one of if you play it. So like it's.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's gonna be tough to find it at the right time.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, no consistent way of finding it. That's a good point. Jake, you were trying to rudely interrupt Steve there.
No, I'm just saying Tool Scrapper is a thing, so that's just one other combo. You don't necessarily need a Leon. The double Berserkers. Plus, I mean, I did preface at the beginning saying ADP is the one viable one, so it doesn't have to be straight Zacian. It could be Ultra Creation, Sword, and one other piece, either a Scrapper, a Berserker, or even like a Zigzagoon Ping, and it's a pretty easy combo to get off with the ADP as well. So you don't even have to do Ultra Creation boss. You can just Ultra Creation hit.
Yeah, I could definitely see where like ADP is obviously going to be played. It's the most powerful GX tag team ever made. It's amazing, and Pikarom is starting to see its way out. But Crushing Hammer is still a thing, so Pikarom will still stay relevant with Crushing Hammer in the deck. And then you could also play the Team Yell Grunt, which also denies energy. So, Pikarom will stay relevant as long as energy denial is a thing.
Yep.
John,
the accessibility. Oh, sorry. The accessibility of ADPZ is also good with the League Battle decks. It's definitely going to be still seeing play. So.
Yeah, those are everywhere here. Scott, we got 1 minute remaining. So, Scott, how about you finish this off here? What's your final thoughts on this?
I mean, if you're playing ADPZ in Turbozation, I feel like you're doing it this like you're cutting down your consistency. So I don't think that will really be like super prevalent, especially if you're trying to set up the other combos. But I didn't think about the other, like the Zig King or anything like that. Like there is 100 different ways to hit the numbers with that deck, and that's a scary thought that I never put into practice until just now. So thanks for that, Jake. I'll be having nightmares about it.
All right, Jake, you got the lowest points. You got 20 seconds.
That's what I'm here for, to create nightmares. No, I just think that the sword just gives it the Zacian variants that many more options to overcome any of these tag teams, even with buffs of the big charm. So they're on their way out for sure.
All right, yeah, that is the end of the round there with the buzzer going off real loud in my head. But so with that, again, I thought that was a good discussion with everyone there. I think it was kind of interesting. We have two of you on one side, obviously Jake on the other side, and Steve's like, I see it kind of either way there. But going through the points here, we got Jake, you were in last with 7 because you're not chill. And then John, you got 9. Scott and Steve are tied in first with 12 each. So very good.
Oh my God, I'm far behind.
Yeah, you got no shot. All right, so what we are going to do here is we're going to go into the bonus round. Let me switch over to that screen here. And okay, so the bonus round question for this week is: Arceus created all the regions in Pokemon. Which region did Arceus create first? So yeah, you gotta know your Pokemon lore for this one. This is not an easy one, but it is. Just think of it logically. It'll make sense. We're gonna take a small break, and we'll come back in a couple minutes here. All right, we're back again with the bonus round. Okay, Arceus created all the regions in Pokemon. Which region did Arceus create first? We're going to start with the person in last right now. Jake, what's your guess?
The Kanto region.
We'll go to John. What's your guess?
I think Sinnoh.
Scott, you.
You know what? Let's just say Unova.
All right. Steve.
All right, so my first guess is Sinnoh, but just to be different from John, I'm going to say Johto.
Okay, and the answer is you should have stuck with it, Steve. It was Sinnoh. Kind of makes sense. That's where he's introduced, I guess. I guess that's all the gods and stuff, or Pokemon gods are created there. So yeah, so Sinnoh, I thought it was kind of funny because we got the announcement of his own game title.
It takes place in Sinnoh. Yeah, that makes sense.
Takes place in Sinnoh. So, all right, I'm gonna actually add in the bonus points here. We got for John. Nice. That was a tough one, I thought. So I'm gonna tie you up with everyone here. But we're gonna go into round 2 now. And round 2's topic today is: does the reign of Eternatus finally come to an end? Really, we're not looking right now. We are looking kind of in the future. I mean, we have Urshifu's and stuff coming up, but we are going to start with Steve this time for this round.
All right, so is Eternatus dead? Not yet. When Chill and Rain releases, probably. But my first thought is it's going to be kind of like every deck that had the direct counter gets printed. People are going to play that card for a while, and then they realize this card is not good unless it's directly countering this deck. then they're going to stop playing it, and then Eternatus will sneak its way back in, and then it's going to be like one of those things, like a spot play in tournaments. It's not going to be like the best deck in format, and it's, if you think people are not going to play the card, it will see play.
Scott, how about you?
I mean, so obviously I'm biased on this one. I have to be on the side that it's not going anywhere. Otherwise, the Eternagon might fire me from my own brand. No, so actually, we were talking about this the other night, and a fair point is with the slow decline of tag teams, the idea that you have to hit 270 disappears. So a lot of people think that it's dying, but it's not going to disappear. It just becomes more of a support Pokemon because you don't need to fill up your bench. You could have 5 Pokemon and be just fine. 4 of them could be dark. You're still two-shotting everything. So the name of the game may be two-shotting. I don't need to expand my bench. Also, with like things such as the single strike Tyranitar being dark, the Houndoom being dark, the ability to fill up your dark spots with things that aren't weak to fighting, you pose a threat to one of the strongest decks coming out, being the Dragapult Urshifu, while also being able to not take the weakness. And that's super strong to me. So I don't think it's going anywhere. I think it's going to drastically change. People aren't going to play the turbo, build up a big beefy guy and attack. It's going to be more of a methodical, let me play my 4 or 5 bench, game the whole time. I maybe even throw a Dedenne or, something like that in there because I don't need the 8 bench spots anymore.
It's interesting.
I mean, yes and no, but like Avery is just so good. Just it takes away that number one strategy of hitting big and then doing Zigzagoon pings or other damage modifiers. So Eternatus isn't going to probably be one shot anything, and even decks like Urshifu and Dragapult or just a straight Dragapult can now kind of compete with Eternatus just with the tech like this, and maybe one of or two of, where hey, it's not going to hit you hard anymore, for weakness for an Oko on just a single attack.
John, what's you?
Yeah, I would have to agree. I don't think it's out. I don't think if you guys have watched the Taiwan regional this past weekend or somehow, it actually got top 2, and they have a different meta, and I don't remember I think it won or it got top 2. I don't remember, but it got top 2. And I know they have a wider card pool, and it's different meta than what we're gonna get. But the fact that it made it top 2 and they have access to single and rapid strike Urshifu proves that I don't think it's gonna completely run out the meta. I still think crushing hammers are gonna be big because ADPZ is gonna be good. So you can crushing hammer things energy to be able to slow decks down a little bit so that you can be able to go in. You still have weakness guard, and I understand you have fan of waves or billowing fan, but I think that's going to be like a one of, so it might be hard to find that in every single deck. And also back onto Scott's point, where the deck might just transform into more of a dark box kind of toolbox kind of dark type attacking deck, where E-turn isn't necessarily the main attacker anymore. And maybe we get Weavile to move energy, kind of like the Bronzong, where you can move energies around and stuff like that. So
okay, so I can see the point of the dark box, and it might have to evolve into something like that. But there's also another card that we haven't talked about yet, that weakness guard doesn't matter, is the Galarian Zapdos. It just takes that off before and then just hits right through it for a Oko for pretty much for a 1 energy cost, if the stars are lining up the way they should be in a deck kind of like that. So there's a lot of different options, not even just Avery, the Urshifus plus the Zapdos. There's a lot of things holding it down. So I don't think it's going to be, especially in an established meta, an A tier, S tier deck. At best, I think it's a B tier deck.
Steve, we haven't heard from you in a little bit here.
Well, so I think that with battle styles, the 2 Urshifu Maxes have no relevance over Eternatus. None of those cards, except for the V Max single strike second attack, can Oko a Eternatus VMAX, and it takes 4 energies, and then after you use the attack, you have to discard all the energies. So now you have to next turn figure out a way to get 4 new energies attached to it. So I don't think the Urshifus have any relevance with Eternatus. They don't hit the numbers. 240 is too much HP for it. But I think with Chilling Reign, the addition of Galarian Zapdos, and Avery will affect the deck significantly.
Yeah, I agree.
So, my
John,
only
you were
argument-
trying to
Oh,
say
go ahead.
something there.
Well, I agree. I think with Chilling Reigns, it's probably going to see a drastic drop, if anything, completely out of the meta. But with Battle Styles, again, like you said, I'm going to just repeat what Steven Burke said. It's the Urshifus don't hit the numbers. You do have the Outrage Scroll with Single Strike, but again, that you're still two-shotting. You don't, and it's, even if you do hit the I forget the name of the attack, 270, you can still kind of come back. I feel, I don't know. It's just, I don't think it's completely out yet.
Scott?
The only thing that I have to say against that, and this may sound, this is kind of going back to one of the first points that was put out, is a lot of times with these cards that like completely shut down a deck, people don't play them if the deck isn't there, right? So if the deck hasn't been there in a couple tournaments, people stop playing them, and that's when Eternatus will come back, right? So a good example of that is the Aegis Slash. You know, people were playing Aegis Slash 100% of the time, and then they're like, well, nobody's playing Decigoons anymore. Let me just get rid of this. And then Decigoons won, like,
Yep.
you know.
The encyclic rotation.
Yeah.
So it's going to be another one of those, and it's been that way for a while, especially with this super fast evolving meta that we have, thanks to 7 major tournaments a week. You have to watch it, and you have to just like make the right meta call. But if you make the right meta call, you're definitely going to win with Eternatus.
Yeah, and you can't play the Galarian Zapdos in every deck, so I don't think every deck can play it. So you have to be specifically playing either some kind of Aurora counter box or a fighting deck specifically.
Yeah, Jake.
No, I still think there's just so many options that kind of hurt the deck, and yes, they are kind of that kind of rotation where, like Scott said, with like Aegis Slash, where they're not always going to be teched in, but there are so many different options. It's not just the or it's not just the Avery, it's not just the Zapdos. You can have one or the other or both or anything like that. So it just makes it so much harder, because I think Zapdos is a good card on its own, even without having to worry about Eternatus. It might be worth just having a one-off in a lot of decks anyways. So it's not like it's necessarily teching for that matchup specifically. So I think it definitely hurts Eternatus' chances if a card like that does find its way into a deck on its own naturally.
Steve, you're the one who kind of brought up some of the points of when it might see the end of it here. Do you see long-term Eternatus though, or is this? Good.
I think it's just going to go back to when you feel the right meta call is, and to play it, and then you're going to win, right? I mean, examples of this is like Night March back in whenever it was kind of dying out, and they released Karen, right? Where people are like, oh, well, Night March is dead. You could be a Seeker Karen and automatically win the game against Night March. But then people stop playing Night March, people stop playing Karen, but Night March comes back. And we've seen it many times. Luke Metal, we're even seeing it now.
Yep.
People play Luke Metal, people start playing Cinder Scorch, Luke Metal sees less play, therefore people start playing Cinder Scorch, Luke Metal comes back. It's happened every single time, every single format.
All right, we're down to the last 30 seconds. John, how about you? Final thoughts?
I agree. It's going to be a meta call kind of deck. It's kind of like the kind of meta we have now. It's kind of, the meta kind of rotates between Luke Metal, sees a lot of play, so Center Scorch comes up, and then so Luke Metal goes down, Center Scorch sees play, so E-Turn comes back, and then go back to Luke Metal. It's kind of like that cycle. So E-Turn is going to be in another meta call deck, I feel, kind of like Guardian was at one point, and even Decigoons is now. So
Scott, get 10 seconds.
Etern's not dead. The Etern God has spoken.
All right, that is the end of the round. You know what? I just because he supported his teammate who is unfortunately at work here right now.
Out of fear.
The win does
fear.
go to Scott at 22. Great work. I thought that was an amazing debate there. I thought everyone brought up again. really good points there. You know, I have to give it to Scott also with the idea that I see Eternatus being more of a utility box. As soon as you brought it up, my first thought was, well, Eternatus goes from Crobat to, all right, I have to strategically play that Crobat instead rather than blindly play it. So, no, so Scott, you're going to get 1 free minute, rant about whatever you want, starting right now.
All right, cool. So check us out on @FlowTK1 on Twitter and also MaxFlowTCast on Twitter. FlowTKAllday.com for all your merch needs. Pick up some dice. We're running low. So if you want the clear ones, now's your chance. Check out our podcast as well as the Triple P podcast, because if you're not doing it, you're crazy. Also check out the Metapod too. They're homies. And then check out Maxwell whenever he jumps on Twitch. And if I'm ever on, come say hi. I'm not doing anything exciting, guaranteed, but I will be there.
30 seconds still.
30 seconds still?
Yeah.
Thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it. I'm sorry that Matt couldn't join us. I heard that he's probably still sleeping and he's lazy. I can't confirm that, but that's the rumor going around this rumor mill. And it's been a whole lot of fun, and I honestly want to do this again sometime. That's probably it, right? A minute? I don't know. I speak a lot faster.
6, 5, 4, 3.
He turns out dead.
There we go. No, all right. Again, thanks for everyone joining us today. I really appreciate everyone coming on and dealing with early on technical difficulties and also waiting for Maddie. But Jake jumping in, joining us here, and then John and Steve. Wonderful to have everyone on here today. So it's just a lot of fun. I think everyone had some really cool takes on the game. Steve, I really liked you bringing in the history of the side of things here. Jake, you pounded in on one side of the topic, never digging heels, and being the first to be muted. And the first to be muted, so.
Yes, and I had to go against all 3 of these gentlemen on both categories. I was on the other side.
All right, and let's send it off here again. Again, thank you everyone for watching us today, and thank you to today's contestants. Again, Jake, Sleepy, Steve, and today's winner, Scott from FTK. If you enjoyed this, we'll be back again next week here on YouTube with different players, more burning questions, and another time to go around the board. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and take a look at another one of our videos here. Also, if you haven't done so yet, hit subscribe. It goes a long way in helping us grow. Remember, we release a podcast episode once a week on all the major platforms. We also stream every Friday on Twitch and make a Whimsy Watch monthly report. As always, thanks for watching. Triple P out.